Hi guys, Dr. Victoria Scarborough here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. So I thought we could take a look at the Democratic Party and what's going on. I know that there's a lot of pundits out there, and the media seems to be very shocked at the rise of Bernie Sanders. And I thought maybe we could take a look at the Democratic Party and the caucus and Bernie and all of that together today to get some other understanding. I am a Sanders supporter myself, and I'm one of those people that send him $27 a month. So, and I also supported him in 2016. Now, that being said, it's a choice of the heart for me, but it should be expressed in the astrology of the time, right? So let's take a look and see what's going on. So what we have here in front of us is the Democratic Party. It was born January 8th, 1828 in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. And we can see here that we have a Taurus ascendant right here. We have a sun in Capricorn. The sun is in a close conjunction to Neptune and is opposed to Saturn in Cancer. Venus, the ruling planet of the chart, because we have a Taurus ascendant, is in Aquarius up there. And we also have in Capricorn, Uranus in Capricorn. And, the Democratic Party has been different things at different times. Of course, it's pretty old, so you've been around that long. Chances are you've changed. And it does, of course, reflect the electorate. And with that Uranus up there in Capricorn, I'm not surprised that there have been, great changes in their point of view, and yet, in a way, their structure is still there. They're still there. So what's going on now that could, indicate perhaps a change in the Democratic Party or the way that it's functioning? So before we get to that, I want to just take a look at the numerology of the Democratic Party. And I don't know if you can see this, but you do, with an institution, you can also do numerology on it, of course, as long as it has letters and a birthday, you can do it. And you can get the soul vibration. You can get the outer personality vibration of the party. You can get the path of life, what they've come to learn, and you can get what they've come to heal, just like you can on a person. Okay. Now, the soul of the Democratic Party is an 11 vibration. It's a 2911 vibration. And the 2911 it's actually an Aries vibration. And but it's an 11. So it has an Aries Libra vibe. And so there is this kind of push-pull within the soul of the Democratic Party between the need to sort of break out and do your own thing and the need to relate to others, okay? And so we can actually see that in the nodal placement. We have the South Node in the first house. We have the North Node in the 7th house. This is self, this is other. So we can see that sort of oppositional forces within the soul of the Democratic Party. We can also see that oppositional force with the Sun and Saturn. Okay, the Sun is the center of the solar system, and Saturn is the limitation of what we can see, the limiting with our naked eye. Saturn is the last planet we can see with our naked eye, and so there's a sense of sort of limitation. There's also a sense, because we're dealing with Cancer and Capricorn, and we're dealing with the 10th house and the 4th house. There's a parental energy around the Democratic Party. So there's this sort of, taking care of the children sort of energy with the Democrats. All right, so that's the soul vibration. The outer personality is a 43-7 vibration, and that's the that's a Cancer vibration, and both the 2911 vibration and the 43-7 vibration are located on the tree of life in a place called Baina. And Baina is the place of the divine feminine. It's also the place of constriction. It's the third Sephiroth of the 10 Sephiroth. The first one being unity, the second one being force, the third one is form. So it's associated with Saturn, and it has to do with constraining the force so that we can actually create something. So it's a very creative energy, but it's also Baina is and when you have numbers in Baina, you have periods of darkness where you need to look within to find the inner light. So that's very interesting that both of those vibrations are in Baina. So you would think that at least the Democrats would have good positions on women's rights, right? Women's rights, and for the most part, they do. For the most part, they are the party of women, as it were. So what I'm going to do is just pull out the two cards associated with these vibrations. And you may know these already because I've done this any number of times if you're sort of keeping track, but in case you aren't, just give me a second here. Oh, goodness gracious. Here we go. So this is the soul of the Democratic Party, this vibration, okay? This vibration. This is the outer personality, okay? And you notice they're both threes. They're both threes because they're both in Baina. And we also have the expression vibration. And the expression is how the Democratic Party would find balance. And it's very interesting because the Democrats are often, it's often said that, oh, their Democrats want to spend all this money on all this stuff, right? But really, the Democrats are the ones that generally balance the budget, and this is the expression. So this is a card of knowing what you have, knowing your resources, although you can get, the danger of this card is that you can get caught up in the money and trying to hold on to the money. And we can maybe see that with the corporatist Democrats now. This is the path of life for the Democrats, okay? The path of life. The two of wands. It is a 1 vibration. It's a 28-1 vibration. So the path of life is to initiate new things. It's an Aries vibration. So it's initiatory. So, and of course, it's very cardinal. There's a lot of cardinality in the chart in that we have the sun in Capricorn and we have the Saturn in Cancer. And then, of course, the 28-1 vibration is an Aries vibration. So there's a lot of cardinality in the Democratic chart. Now, as to their shadow and what they have come to heal in this incarnation of this party, or what this group of people have come to heal, it's actually a 54-9 vibration, okay? And the 54-9 is a Gemini vibration. And of course, excuse me, Gemini is, excuse me a second. It's very early in the morning. I still have that frog in my throat from the morning, from waking up. So a Gemini vibration can be very duplicitous, right? There can be two sides to everything. And the challenge for the 54-9 vibration is for the inner and outer to be the same. You can't be saying one thing and doing another. You can't do that. You have to, your intention and your actions have to line up. Your sense of who you are on the inside and who you are on the outside has to line up. And so if you are saying that you're one thing, but your actions are belying something else, then there's a problem with this vibration. And this is the vibration, the 54-9. And so it is a 9 vibration also, and there's an inclusivity with 9. There's unconditional love with 9, and there have been times when I think the Democratic Party has shown that side of themselves, that unconditionally loving, accepting of all. But you also see the side of them where they're sort of infighting and not trusting one another, and what's the expression? The Democrats always do a circular firing line, like they hurt each other instead of the foe, as it were. So those are just a couple of numerology things I wanted to talk about, just to get a just general idea. But probably the most interesting thing about the numerology of the Democratic Party at this time anyway, is their personal year vibration. Every year on your birthday, you go into a personal year vibration. And we get that by adding the month and the day and then the year vibration. And they already had their birthday because their birthday was on the 8th. That was right around, so their birthday was right around the eclipses, remember, in January, and Pluto and Saturn making a conjunction a couple days later. So all of that really intense energy was going on when this year started for the Democratic Party. And the vibration for the Democratic Party this year, if you can see it, it's in pink, is a 13-4 vibration. And what is the 13-4 in the tarot? It's the death card. So this year for them is about transformation, right? It's about letting go of that which no longer serves. And in that letting go, the 4, the base number 4, is about rebirth and rebuilding. So this is a natural time for change for the Democratic Party. And it's inevitable change. It's change that they cannot deny. We can see here with the death card that even the Pope here isn't going to have much luck against death. Change is inevitable, and it's time to, and the Democratic Party must undergo that change. It's interesting because right around their birthday was in the middle of the impeachment, right? The Senate impeachment hearing, and they were quite restricted in that. They had no power in that. And so I feel like they had no power, of course, because the Senate was run by the Republicans and they weren't going to kick Trump out no matter what, no matter who. And so they had to face their lack of power, which can be one of the things that a 54-9 or just a 9 vibration especially can feel, a sense of powerlessness. It's a wound. It's in Malkuth in the Tree of Life. And so it's a wound of victimization, feeling victimized. But how do they overcome that? Well, they need to change. Things need to change. They can't play by the Republican rules, which is what they did and what they've been doing. And that's really sort of that, and I say Republican rules, but it's sort of the neoconservative, neoliberal rules that we're talking about here, okay? All right, so, and this is not really an attempt to convince you of any political thing. I just want to show you the energy that the party is undergoing. Okay, so now the big to-do was this past Tuesday with the caucus, right? So let's take a look at, first of all, let's see if I can see. No, sorry about that. Don't look at that. I have a couple of people here. Here's the Nevada Caucus, okay? So this is a chart that I did for Las Vegas. I did it for Las Vegas, and I did it for 7 p.m. So this would be at the end. And so we can see here, let's see if there's anything particularly significant on that day here. Well, we have Mars approaching its conjunction to the South Node. We have Mercury retrograde. Okay. All right. So, and to me, this looks like the voice of the people, right? The voice of the people up here. Now, let's do this. So this is the Democratic Party in the inner wheel here, and this is the caucus. So this is what happened. And of course, Bernie Sanders won the largest amount of votes. He crushed it, quite frankly, in all demographics. And of course, the media is just reeling and shocked and aghast and jaws hanging open. But for those of us who have been following what's been going on out of the bubble of the media, this makes perfect sense. All right, so let's look and see what's going on, what went on with the caucus. So one of the things that is going on here is that Saturn, the planet of responsibility, being held responsible, right, is conjunct Uranus of the Democratic Party. Okay, so there we go, Saturn on Uranus. Saturn, to a certain extent, is a timing thing. And so it's the time to change, We see that in the numerology as well. We also see here that Uranus, the planet of change, okay, the ruler of Aquarius, is here in the first house of the Democratic Party and is just off a conjunction with the South Node. And this Uranus has been sort of going over the South Node for about a year. It's moving past it, so most of the shock has I wouldn't say worn off, but so we have that, and then we have Uranus is going to be moving through the first house, and the first house is how you approach the world, your identity, and so there's going to be shifts in identity. And Uranus and Taurus requires us to reevaluate our values. And so reevaluating the democratic values is going to be a thing that sort of changes and transforms the party. Okay, what else do we have? We also have Chiron sitting on Pluto and Ceres. Now, and it's in Aries, okay? This is an Aries energy here. Chiron is about healing the wound, and Pluto Ceres, Ceres is the goddess. She's the goddess, the nurturer, the goddess of the grain, and then Pluto is the god of the underworld, right? He's the archetype of transformation, death, and rebirth. And so we have Chiron here sitting on all of this. And to me, this speaks of the wounding of the people and whether or not the Democratic Party is shh, but stop, whether or not the Democratic Party is actually attending to the wounds of its constituents. That's what this looks like to me. And Chiron is coming along and saying, you're not taking care of Ceres, the people that you need to take care of in the search for power, okay, in the search for power. What else do we have here? We have Mars on the Mercury in that 9th house. And we have Jupiter sitting on Neptune, right? And we have Pluto is going to be coming on that Uranus soon. Okay, that's going to happen in 2022. So there's a lot of activity on the chart. Now, I want to show you, let's see, is it this one? Yes, here's a chart of the United States in the center here. And this is, again, the caucus. So the caucus is sort of like a moment in time when it's become obvious that there's a need for change, okay? And here we see the moon of the caucus conjunct the moon of the United States and Pallas Athena of the United States. So the people want what the people want, and the people want justice. So we see that there. We also see that there's a Vesta, a Vesta return here. Vesta is on Vesta, and Vesta in Taurus is about focusing on resources and resourcefulness. This is also perhaps a look at how we spend money in the military, because it's in the 6th house, and a need to look at that. Of course, we have to remember also that Saturn right now is sitting on the Pluto of the United States. And so the time to call those who have the 1%, like Pluto in Capricorn in that 2nd house, calling them and saying, knock, 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 we're not going to continue to go along like that. And remember, Ceres, what it was that Ceres in Aquarius conjunct the South Node of America, opposite the North Node of America, showing how far we are to taking care of our people. How far are we? Well, we're pretty far off here, okay? So I think that's quite interesting as well. We also have the North Node, the transiting North Node, sitting on Jupiter, it's not quite there. It's just a little bit longer, and then it's going to go over Venus as well. And so the North Node on Jupiter is requiring us to look at our values and what we believe to be true and how we see ourselves. Jupiter in Cancer, it can be very nurturing, sort of like that sort of mother of all, that, you know, bringing us, you're tired and you're sick. And we can see that here. The series of the United States is in Pisces, and we have Mercury retrograde in Pisces. It will retrograde, it's actually going to retrograde all the way to 29 degrees. So it's going to go over Ceres. So the energy of speaking, the people speaking, you know, the tired and the immigrant population, which makes up the United States for the most part, unless you're Native American, the voice is not going to go away. The voice is not going to go away. And because it's Mercury in Pisces, and because it's Pisces and it's retrograde, the people who depend on the logic of it all, it's not going to make sense to them. So the media is going to be totally like lost in the sauce with this stuff. This is very confusing to them, because they feel like they frame everything, but really all change comes from the grassroots, and that's really what's happening. Okay, so let's see what else is going on here. So this is Bernie Sanders' chart here in the center of the thing, and this is the caucus. And so we'll see how his victory is seen in his chart. Now this is interesting because if I remember correctly, there's not too much going on in his chart. There's a lot going on in his chart at the time of the election, but at the November election. But what's most prominent here is Venus conjunct his moon, so he's loved. Neptune getting closer to a conjunction to his south node. That's powerful. Neptune is also opposite his sun. And on a certain level, and that's been actually going on for a couple of years now, I almost feel like Neptune opposite the sun is almost putting him into like icon status, right? He's representing something greater than the person that he is. He is representing, in his case, his beliefs. And the MC, okay, which is the top of the chart, the most prominent part in the chart for the caucus, is conjunct his Jupiter. And his Jupiter is his beliefs and his ability, Gemini, to communicate them. And we know that Jupiter is an important planet in his chart because he has it square the nodes. And so he has had to really go back to the past and look to the past to understand how best to fix Virgo, how to fix things, and in the 10th house, how to fix things at the top, really. But there's this energy of having to come from the grassroots up, right? Grassroots up, and we can see that in his chart. Now I'm just going to swap this out, and you're going to see that his Jupiter, so now this is the caucus down here at 7 o'clock, and we see his Jupiter right up here in the 9th house in Gemini. And he's finally, after maybe 40 years of talking, getting his word out. I mean, you can see videos of him talking in, maybe it was Congress, or it could have been the Senate, where he's making these speeches and there's nobody sitting there, there's nobody watching him. So it's from the empty Senate halls to the world stage. And it's not, and you know, I've talked to a couple of people who get to go outside of the United States relatively regularly. And Bernie Sanders is a big star all over the world. I mean, he is, you know, people are saying we need a Bernie here. So it's not just America that he's affecting. It's kind of a worldwide, and I'm sure he never imagined that this would be the case. But I also know that with him, it's not really about him, right? So, and we also have, this is Bernie's Venus, and we have Juno conjunct his Venus on that day. Let's swap back so it's not too confusing, or confusing for me anyway. This is Bernie, here's his Venus, and here's Juno. And Juno is the asteroid of relationship, but it's also the asteroid of taking care of those people who can't take care of themselves. And of course, that's one of Bernie's things, you know, taking care of others, you know, taking care of others' families as you would take care of your own. That sort of communal energy. And we can see that communal energy in his South Node in Pisces, right? And of course, with Neptune there coming along, strengthening that, that energy is strengthened, but it is also connected to the responsibilities and how to fix the problems. All right, so I think that's what I want to show you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you find that helpful. I certainly did. So you can comment below, like and subscribe. And I did this on Zoom, so this is an experiment for me. So hopefully this works out. Have yourself a great day, and I'll see you soon. Take care.